Yo, what's good, hip-hop fam? Welcome. In this video, we're diving into one of the most talked about topics in the culture, rappers behind bars. From legends to up-and-coming stars, prison has played a huge role in shaping the rap game. Some artists have seen their careers pause, while others have turned their legal troubles into fuel for their music. But one thing's for sure, when the streets and the spotlight collide, the consequences can get real. So today, we're breaking down the rappers who found themselves locked up, the stories behind their cases, and how it all impacted their careers. Let's get into it. Freddie Demarest Gladney, known professionally as Bankroll Freddie, is a rapper from Helena, Arkansas. He is signed to Quality Control Music and Motown Records. Bankroll Freddie started his music career in 2017, releasing the freestyle Lil Baby. As part of the hashtag Act Up Challenge, he created a freestyle over Act Up, a song by City Girls under the label Quality Control. Bankroll Freddie released a 2019 single, Drip Like This. He released the mixtape Saved by the Bales in July 2019. In 2020, he released the album From Trap to Rap. In April 2022, things took a turn for the worst. While speeding on Interstate 55 in Arkansas, law enforcement pulled over Bankroll Freddie. They reportedly smelled marijuana and searched his vehicle, finding a ghost gun, a privately made semi-automatic firearm, 7 magazines, 21.4 pounds of high-grade marijuana, 171 grams of promethazine, and $33,662 in cash. In May 2023, Bankroll Freddie was indicted in a 32-count superseding federal indictment tied to FBI investigations targeting the EBK, Everybody Killis, gang and Lodi murder mob, charging him with drug trafficking, firearm offenses, and conspiracy. In April 2024, a federal jury found him guilty of conspiracy to distribute and possess marijuana, possession with intent to distribute marijuana, possession of a firearm in furtherance of drug trafficking, using a communication facility, i.e. phone, to facilitate drug trafficking. In November 1st, 2024, U.S. District Judge sentenced Bankroll Freddie to 150 months, 12.5 years, with no possibility of parole, plus 3 years of supervised release and a $242,000 money judgment. His sentence exceeded federal guidelines due to enhancements. 2.5 years for the ghost gun, which was considered capable of being converted to fully automatic. For level increase for being deemed an organizer in an operation involving 5 or more participants. An additional enhancement for obstruction, from a wiretap call ordering removal of evidence ahead of a search. Chiali Griffith, born May 27, 1976, better known by the mononym Chiali, is an American rapper. He made his debut appearance on the La Soul's 1989 single, Say No Go, on the song The Mac Daddy on the Left. He later made an appearance on the 1991 album, A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing by Black Sheep on the posse cut, Past the 40. Through his connection with the groups, Chiali was inducted into the Native Tongues Collective. On January 14, 2000, Griffith shot and killed Sean Raymond in the Bronx, New York. At the time, Griffith was dating Raymond's sister. He was charged with first-degree manslaughter, as well as various lesser charges. An extensive manhunt resulted, with Griffith twice being featured on the television program America's Most Wanted. He was apprehended on March 5, 2001, and was subsequently convicted of the killing. He served an 11-year sentence at Sing Sing Correction Facility in New York. He was released from prison in September 2012. B.G., born Christopher Dorsey, is a rapper from New Orleans who began his music career at the age of 12 after signing with Cash Money Records. Early on, he formed a duo called the B.G. with Lil Wayne, then known as Lil Doogie. He later gained major recognition as a founding member of the Hot Boys, alongside Lil Wayne, Juvenile, and Turk. With hits like We on Fire and I Need a Hot Girl, the Hot Boys helped put Southern rap on the map in the late 1990s. In November 2009, during a police stop in eastern New Orleans, authorities found 3 guns in BG's vehicle, 2 of which were reported stolen, along with a stolen rental car. One passenger initially claimed ownership of the weapons, but prosecutors alleged BG had urged him to do so. BG later pleaded guilty himself and refused to cooperate with authorities, sticking to a no-snitch stance that echoed lyrics from his songs. After pleading guilty in December 2011 to 2 counts of firearm possession and 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct justice, he was sentenced in July 2012 to 14 years in federal prison with an additional 3 years of supervised release. Although scheduled for release in April or July 2024, BG was released early and transferred to a halfway house in September 2023, having served approximately 11 years behind bars. Caswell Sr., better known as Casanova, first emerged in early 2016 with the street hit single Don't Run, produced by UW. Despite having virtually no recording experience, the track exploded across New York clubs and received strong airplay on Power 105.1 and Hot 97. In October 2016, he signed with Memphis Bleek's Warehouse Music Group, affiliated with Roc Nation, placing him under the Jay-Z umbrella. In 2019, he dropped his debut studio album Behind These Scars, with guest spots from Fabulous, Young Thug, Jeremiah, and others. Standout tracks included So Brooklyn, featuring Fabulous, and Coming Home, featuring Chris Brown. Unfortunately, his music career was cut short. Casanova was federally arrested and convicted on racketeering and narcotics charges stemming from his leadership role in the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation gang. He pled guilty on May 11, 2022, to participating in a racketeering conspiracy and a marijuana trafficking operation involving over 100 kilograms of cannabis. As part of that conspiracy, he took part in a shooting in Florida on July 5, 2020, and a robbery in Manhattan on August 5, 2018. The Brooklyn-based rapper Casanova, who was one of 18 people indicted in connection with a litany of gang-related crimes, including racketeering, murder, drugs, firearms, and fraud offenses. Members of Gorilla Stone committed terrible acts of violence, trafficked in narcotics, and even engaged in brazen fraud by exploiting benefits programs meant to provide assistance in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The others were indicted in connection to charges including assault, drug distribution, and weapons possession. Some were charged with falsely using other people's identity information to file for COVID-19 unemployment benefits. On June 27, 2023, Casanova was sentenced to 188 months, 15 years and 8 months, in federal prison by a U.S. District Court in the Southern District of New York. Kid Creole was a founding member of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, one of the first hip-hop groups to gain mainstream success. The group is best known for their groundbreaking 1982 single, The Message, which brought social consciousness into rap music. Kid Creole was known for his sharp lyrical delivery and energetic performances, helping define the early sound and look of hip-hop. In 2007, the group was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, making them one of the first hip-hop acts to receive the honor. Unfortunately, in August 2017, Kid Creole was arrested for the fatal stabbing of a homeless man named John Jolly in New York City. The incident happened late at night near his workplace. Creole claimed that he felt threatened and believed the man was making a sexual advance toward him. Surveillance footage showed the altercation, and a knife was later recovered. In 2022, he was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 16 years in prison. George Harris, better known as Lul G, along with Slimmy B, Da Boy, and Young T.O., formed Ksoo RBE in 2016 in Vallejo, California. Their sound combined West Coast hip-hop with Bay Area hi-fi energy. The group gained widespread attention in 2017 with singles like Anti and Lane Changing, both critically acclaimed and viral hits. Their biggest moment came with Paramedic, included on Kendrick Lamar's Black Panther soundtrack, a major boost to their visibility. Throughout this period, Lul G struggled with restrictive probation conditions stemming from teen gun and robbery charges, which disrupted touring plans and professional opportunities. Lul G helped define a fresh, unapologetic chapter of Bay Area rap. As part of SOB/RBE, he brought regional energy to a global audience, and his solo material helped reinforce his performance persona and storytelling voice. Despite the obstacles he openly faced, including legal constraints that curb his momentum. In July 2019, Lul G was involved in a fatal shooting in Vallejo, California. The victim was 26-year-old Rashid Flowers, described as a friend of the group. Initially charged with first-degree murder, a crime carrying a potential sentence of up to 50 years to life, Lul G ultimately pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter in May 2023. Under his plea deal, he received a 21-year prison sentence, significantly less than the potential maximum he faced. Legal counsel emphasized that the no contest plea substantially reduced his sentencing exposure. Have you ever wondered what it's like for someone to achieve remarkable success at a young age? Look no further than K Flock. Before he was 20 years old, he had already achieved what most people strive for, but unfortunately never obtain within their lifetimes. He reached number 3 on the Billboard charts, was featured in prominent publications such as Rolling Stone and Vice magazine, and has an estimated net worth of over $1 million. K Flock's meteoric rise in the hip-hop scene, specifically the New York drill rap crowd, was a whirlwind of accomplishments. However, his promising career was cut short with the legal challenges he's facing. K Flock's downfall began in December 2021. It was sparked when he was entangled in severe legal issues in New York, where he was brought before the Manhattan Criminal Court. The primary accusation against the Bronx rapper was first-degree murder related to the tragic death of Oscar Hernandez, a 24-year-old individual who was also known as O.Y. Waka in the Bronx borough. According to police records, Kevin had a physical altercation with Hernandez outside of a Harlem, New York barbershop. This event occurred after the young musician confronted the latter about a questionable gaze. The incident escalated to gunshots, where Hernandez would receive fatal wounds on his back and neck, resulting in his death. Notably, the NYPD, New York City Police Department, believed the murder case was gang-related, as the drill rapper K Flock is associated with the Bronx Third Side Gang. Alongside the grave murder charge, K Flock also faced 2 counts of second-degree illegal firearm possession, both classified as Class C felony offenses in New York. Apart from the murder charges, the legal woes for K Flock have intensified with a federal indictment on RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act accusations. This statute applies to individuals who illegally take money from others via illegal methods, such as false services. However, the RICO Act can also apply to individuals who commit the following acts. The RICO indictment levied against K Flock implicates the drill rap newcomer and 7 others in running the Bronx-based Sevside and DOA gang. The charges against the 8 people in question stemmed from multiple violent crimes, including assault and attempted murder using a dangerous weapon, which occurred between June 2020 and February 2022. While the murder charge was dropped, the remaining convictions carry serious prison exposure under U.S. federal sentencing guidelines. As of November 2023, the Bronx rapper K Flock is in jail. He's serving a life sentence. This significant development occurred on February 23, 2023, when the Southern District of New York's U.S. Attorney's Office gave the verdict. A life sentence refers to incarceration in a U.S. correctional facility intended to last the rest of the accused individual's natural life. Contrary to popular belief, however, this doesn't necessarily mean K Flock will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Depending on various factors, such as the severity of the crime committed, the prisoner's behavior, and the type of life sentence, a release may be possible. In 1991, Suge Knight co-founded Death Row Records with Dr. Dre, the DOC, and music executive Dick Griffey. Death Row became one of the most dominant labels of the 1990s, blending hip-hop and gang culture with aggressive business tactics. Dr. Dre released The Chronic in 1992, which redefined West Coast hip-hop. Snoop Dogg debut album Doggy Style in 1993 became a cultural phenomenon, Tupac Shakur, signed to death row while in prison in 1995, releasing All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli the Don Killuminati, the 7-Day Theory. Knight became infamous for intimidation tactics, allegedly dangling music executive Vanilla Ice over a hotel balcony to secure rights, though both have disputed the story. He often used his street ties and reputation to keep control over his artists and rivals. The East Coast versus West Coast rap feud escalated during his reign, with Suge Knight openly dissing Sean Diddy Combs and Bad Boy Records. After Tupac's murder in 1996, while Knight was driving the car Tupac was in, Death Row's dominance began to collapse. Dr. Dre left the label in 1996 due to conflicts with Knight, and Snoop Dogg later left for No Limit Records. Legal issues mounted for Knight, including parole violations, lawsuits, and investigations into gang connections. 2006, Death Row declared bankruptcy and was eventually auctioned off. Knight continued to face lawsuits, fights, and assaults, damaging his reputation further. His last major public role in music was through independent ventures, but none reached the scale of Death Row's 1990s dominance. Knight was charged with murder, attempted murder, and hit and run after fleeing the scene of an altercation in January 2015 outside a Compton burger stand. Knight and CLA Bone Sloan, a consultant on the NWA biopic Straight Outta Compton, were involved in a fistfight that ended with Knight clipping the man with his pickup truck and running over businessman Terry Carter, who died from his injuries. Knight claimed self-defense, saying he was fleeing armed assailants, but prosecutors argued the act was intentional and linked to earlier disputes that day. In September 2018, Knight pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter. Because of California's three strikes law, based on his prior felony convictions, he received a 28-year prison sentence, 22 years for manslaughter plus 6 extra years. Knight is incarcerated at Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego and won't be eligible for parole until October 2034, when he'll be about 69 years old. In March 2025, Knight attempted to overturn his sentence through an appeal, claiming delays were due to inadequate legal assistance, one-eyed vision, and prison isolation. The court rejected the petition, citing procedural delay and perceived insincerity. Robert Sylvester Kelly is a former singer, songwriter, and record producer. He is credited with prolific commercial success in R&B, hip-hop, and pop music recordings, earning nicknames such as the King of R&B, the King of Pop Soul, and the Pied Piper of R&B. In 2025, Billboard ranked him 9th on their list of top greatest R&B artists of all time. R. Kelly sold over 75 million albums and singles worldwide, making him one of the best-selling music artists of all time and the most successful R&B male artist of the 1990s. The Recording Industry Association of America, RIA, has recognized Kelly as one of the best-selling artists in the United States with 40 million albums sold. In 2011, Kelly was named the most successful R&B artist of the last 25 years by Billboard. Kelly had long been the subject of accusations of sexual abuse, including that of minors, dating back to the 1990s. Following leaked video recordings, Kelly was prosecuted on child pornography charges in 2002, leading to a controversial trial that ended with his acquittal in 2008 on all charges. The 2019 documentary Surviving R. Kelly re-examined Kelly's alleged sexual misconduct with minors, prompting RCA Records to terminate his contract. Renewed interest in the allegations resulted in additional investigations by law enforcement beginning in 2019, which led to multiple indictments and Kelly's arrest. In 2021 and 2022, he was convicted on multiple charges involving child sexual abuse. As of 2025, he is serving a 31-year combined sentence at FCI, Butner Medium I in North Carolina. Mac began rapping at age 13, initially going by Lil Mac, and marked his debut with the lyrical Midget, 1990, one of the earliest commercial hip-hop albums from New Orleans. It featured early production from Mannie Fresh and showcased his lyrical ambition. After a few independent singles, including Mad or Jealous in 1996 with Storm. He continued to refine his craft through local performance and collaboration, including as part of the Psychowar Collective. When McKinley Mac Phipps Jr. signed with No Limit Records in 1997, the up-and-coming rapper had big dreams. But only a few years after Phipps got his big break, his own lyrics would be used against him in a murder case and would help put him behind bars for more than 2 decades. In 2000, after touring, a 22-year-old Phipps went home to New Orleans and had promised his parents that he would perform an event at a small club on February 20th. His parents, who were at the event, told Rap Trap that a fight appeared to break out and chaos erupted after people realized there was a shooting. Mac Phipps said he went home, but later that night he was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. He was put on trial in September 2001 and was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 30 years in prison for the fatal shooting of 19-year-old Baron Victor. Witnesses also pointed to Mac Phipps as the shooter during the trial. But in interviews with the Huffington Post, in 2015, 5 witnesses claimed that authorities intimidated them into identifying Phipps as the shooter or silenced or ignored their testimony, and a key witness recanted her testimony. Phipps, who has always maintained his innocence, was granted clemency on April 8, 2021. He was released on parole on June 22, 2021, after serving 21 years of his 30-year sentence. His case has spotlighted the use of rap lyrics as evidence in criminal proceedings. Demetrius Big Meech Flenory and his brother Terry, Southwest T. Flenory started selling cocaine in Detroit in the late 80s. By the mid-1990s, they had expanded to multiple U.S. states, creating a sophisticated network for transporting drugs from Mexico. The operation was eventually called Black Mafia Family, BMF, known for luxury cars, mansions, and flashy hip-hop industry connections. In the late 1990s, early 2000s, BMF reportedly moved thousands of kilos of cocaine monthly. They established BMF Entertainment, a music promotion and artist management company, as a front to launder drug money and connect with the rap industry. They promoted artists like Young Jeezy and Fabulous while living a highly publicized baller lifestyle. 2003 to 2005, FBI and DEA investigation. Federal agents launched Operation Motor City Mafia and Operation Snowcap, targeting BMF. Wiretaps, informants, and surveillance linked the brothers to large-scale cocaine distribution. Authorities estimated BMF had over 500 members and operated in at least 11 states. In October 2005, both brothers were indicted on continuing criminal enterprise, conspiracy to distribute cocaine, and money laundering. Over $270 million worth of assets were seized, including homes, cars, and jewelry. Big Meech and Terry both pleaded guilty to running a criminal enterprise. Sentence: 30 years in federal prison. Big Meech was housed at USP Atlanta before later transferred. Terry, Southwest T, was released early to home confinement in May 2020 due to COVID-19 prison risks. Big Meech applied for the same compassionate release, but was denied. In 2021, a federal judge reduced Big Meech's sentence by 3 years due to changes in federal sentencing guidelines for nonviolent drug offenders. Big Meech was released from a Florida prison on October 15, 2024, but must serve the remainder of his sentence, which was reduced from 360 to 292 months over the course of his imprisonment, in a halfway house. His projected release date from the halfway house is January 27, 2026, after which we will be subject to supervised release. Chicago rapper and OEF affiliate Rondonumbanine was sentenced to 39 years in prison in 2016, July 5th, for the crime of murdering a jitney cab driver back in 2014. Reports say that 19-year-old Rondo, real name Clint Massey, was officially sentenced in Cook County District Court following his conviction of first-degree murder of driver Jovin Boyd. 29-year-old Boyd was murdered on February 22, 2014, when a gunman approached his car while he was waiting for a passenger. Prosecutors said the men asked Boyd if he was from the neighborhood and fired multiple rounds into the vehicle from the passenger side. Boyd was pronounced dead 2 hours after being taken to the hospital. The Chicago Housing Authority got the incident on video surveillance, and eyewitnesses pinpointed Rondo as being at the scene of the crime. Rondo and fellow rapper C-dai were in the group of men who approached and shot at Boyd's vehicle. C-dai received his sentence of 38 years for the same crime earlier in May of 2016. Rondonumbanine was just 17 years old at the time of his arrest, while C-dai was 19. While C-dai was officially signed to Fredo Santana's Savage Squad Records, Rondo was still an up-and-comer in the Chicago rap scene before this 2014 murder. As a friend of Chi-Town export Lil Durk, the rapper dropped the video for his biggest song to date, Hang With Me, back in 2013. A Southside man whose street name was referred to in lyrics by several Chicago rappers was found guilty of the 2014 fatal shooting of a 14-year-old boy in the Woodlawn neighborhood on the South Side. In September of 2016, a Cook County jury convicted Abin Sardin, well known as D. Rose, of first-degree murder for the shooting death of Venzel Richardson. D. Rose was 17 at the time of the murder, was known on the streets as D. Rose, and was featured in lyrics by Chief Keef, C-dai, and Rondonumbanine. Richardson and his friends had just left a convenience store near 61st and King Drive on the night of February 12, 2014, and were walking south in the 6100 block of South Vernon when a white minivan pulled up alongside them. D. Rose, allegedly a member of the Black Disciples, slid the driver's side passenger door open and fired a handgun at the group multiple times. Richardson, who lived in the 6400 block of South St. Lawrence, suffered 4 gunshot wounds, including one to the back of the head. He ran into a gangway, but collapsed and was pronounced dead there at 8:25 p.m. Police learned D. Rose may have been involved in the shooting, and witnesses identified him in a photo array. D. Rose was arrested about 6 weeks after the shooting, which police believe was gang-related. On the 26th of October, 2016, D. Rose was sentenced to 40 years in prison for the murder of Venzel Richardson. D. Rose was also falsely linked to the high-profile 2012 slaying of rapper Lil Jojo, whose real name was Joseph Coleman. He had been feuding with the Black Disciples along with rival rappers Lil Reese, Lil Durk, and Chief Keef before the murder. Abdul Ibrahim West, better known by his stage name A.R. A.B., also referred to as King A.B., is a rapper from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is a prominent figure in gangsta rap and a co-founder of the collective and label Original Block Hustlers, OBH. A.R.A.B. is best known for being involved in the Drake-Meek Mill feud, and for the extensive legal troubles he has faced across his career. A.R.A.B. began his career around 2007 as a battle rapper affiliated with Philly artist Cassidy, appearing on Cassidy's Larceny Family mixtapes. In 2016, A.R.A.B. signed a recording deal with Cash Money Records, gaining wider visibility beyond the Philly underground scene. In October 2018, A.R.A.B., alongside 8 others said to be members of a drug trafficking organization, were arrested and indicted on charges of distributing drugs in North Philadelphia. His charges include a conspiracy to distribute the possession and the distribution of cocaine, crack, methamphetamine, and heroin. The indictment identified A.R.A.B. as the leader of the gang, and that the gang obtained high-end properties in Philadelphia to protect their supply. Lyrics and social media posts made by A.R.A.B. and his affiliates were used by authorities in their case against him and his gang, which authorities identified as his rap crew and label, the Original Block Hustlers. Authorities stated that OBH was a drug-dealing gang led by A.R.A.B. On November 19, 2019, A.R.A.B. was found guilty of several counts of conspiracy and distribution of crack cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine in his federal conspiracy case. While awaiting sentencing, he was allegedly attacked and stabbed in prison in 2020. On April 15, 2021, A.R.A.B. was sentenced to 45 years in prison. His final OBH co-defendant was sentenced in October of that year. Colin Walker, better known as KR, started as a dancer. While in high school, Colin formed a dance collective called Marvel Incorporated, specializing in the West Coast jerking style. Their videos gained millions of views online and gained attention around Los Angeles. The exposure from dancing and viral content helped him pivot into hip-hop. He adopted the stage name KR, became known for blending slick lyricism with storytelling that drew comparisons to Kendrick Lamar and Childish Gambino. He signed to Empire Records and toured alongside artists such as G-Eazy, A$AP Ferg, Schoolboy Q. KR appeared in the 2018 film Superfly and the 2017 film Kings. Between 2016 and 2018, Walker allegedly used social media platforms like Instagram and Twitter to contact aspiring models, offering them professional opportunities or introductions to celebrities. Victims range from women in their early 20s to teenage girls. He was arrested and charged with multiple counts of sexual assault involving these individuals. April 2022, a jury in Van Nuys convicted him of 3 counts of forcible rape, 2 counts of statutory rape, 2 counts of rape by intoxication. He was acquitted of some other charges. October 17, 2022, a judge sentenced him to 50 years to life in prison, and he was ordered to register as a sex offender indefinitely. He reportedly continues to maintain his innocence. Max B, born Charlie Wingate, is a Harlem rapper known for pioneering the wave movement in hip-hop with his melodic, sing-rap style and raw street charisma. He began his career with Jim Jones and Dipset, co-writing the 2005 hit Baby Girl, but later fell out with the crew over money and creative differences. After going solo, he built a cult following through a series of influential mixtapes like $1 Million Baby and the Coke Wave series with French Montana, introducing his signature wavy sound that later influenced artists like Wiz Khalifa, The Weeknd, and A$AP Rocky. Even after being sentenced to prison in 2009, Max B continued to release music, including the House Money EP in 2019, and maintained cultural relevance through French Montana support and widespread praise from fellow artists. Today, Max B is viewed as an underground legend, with his release from prison expected in 2025. In 2006, a robbery at a Fort Lee, New Jersey hotel ended in the death of David Taylor Jr. Prosecutors allege that Max B, with co-defendants Kelvin Leerdam and Gina Conway, planned the robbery. Leerdam shot and killed Taylor during the crime. Max B was not present at the shooting, but was charged under New Jersey's felony murder doctrine, meaning he was held legally responsible due to his involvement in planning the robbery. In June 2009, Max B was found guilty on 9 of 11 charges, including felony murder, armed robbery, kidnapping, and aggravated assault. On September 3, 2009, he was sentenced to 75 years in prison. He became eligible for parole in 2042 per original sentencing guidelines. Tamor Trayvon McIntyre, better known by his stage name Tay K, is a convicted murderer and former rapper. He is best known for his 2017 song The Race, which peaked at number 44 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 and received platinum certification by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIA. Its lyrics detailed criminal activity carried out by Tay K and became popular following a nationwide manhunt that led to his arrest and eventual conviction for murder. Tay K spent parts of his childhood in California and Nevada before settling in the Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex in Texas at the age of 10. After dropping out high school during his freshman year, he began his music career as a member of the rap group Daytona Boys in 2014. In July of 2016, he was charged in connection with a home invasion and robbery that left 21-year-old Ethan Walker dead. He was released in January 2017 on house arrest until his trial. In March of that year, Tay K cut off his ankle monitor and went on the run. Tay K was captured by U.S. Marshals in Elizabeth, New Jersey, on June 30th, 2017, the same day The Race was released, after 3 months evading authorities. In July 2019, Tay K was found guilty of murder for his involvement in the 2016 home invasion, resulting in the death of Ethan Walker. he was sentenced to 55 years in prison. In November 2019, Tay K was indicted on a second murder charge for shooting 23-year-old Mark Anthony Saldivar while on the run in 2017. He was convicted in April 2025 and sentenced to 80 years in prison. His overall sentence being 135 years. It means Tay K will spend the rest of his life in prison. Corey Miller, better known by his stage name C-Murder. He initially gained fame in the mid-1990s as a part of his brother Master P's label No Limit Records, primarily as a member of the label supergroup TRU. Miller went on to release several solo albums of his own through the label, including 1998's Platinum Life or Death. C-Murder has released 9 albums altogether on 6 different labels. In August 14, 2009, on the day in 2009, C-Murder was sentenced to life in prison without parole for allegedly killing a 16-year-old teen. C-Murder's legal troubles started 2 decades ago on January 19, 2002, when a young man named Steve Thomas was shot and killed inside Platinum Club in Harvey, LA. According to eyewitnesses, the former No Limit artist got into an argument with Thomas and pulled out a handgun. He was accused of shooting the minor at point-blank range. Thomas would succumb to his injuries and die at a local hospital. Subsequently, C-Murder was arrested and charged with murder. A year later, in 2003, a jury convicted C-Murder of second-degree murder. At the time, judge granted the embattled rhymer a new trial after discovering that prosecutors withheld the background information on 3 witnesses from the defense. In 2006, the state Supreme Court affirmed judge decision, allowing a second trial. 3 years later, in 2009, a second jury found C-Murder guilty of second-degree murder. Since his arrest and conviction, C-Murder has maintained his innocence and legally demanded a new trial. Also, in 2018, 2 witnesses in the case came forward and retracted their statements of C-Murder being the shooter. Meanwhile, C-Murder's attorney petitioned the court to overturn the conviction and order another trial. However, on January 25, 2019, a judge denied the request for a new trial. In August of 2020, Kim Kardashian, who's on her journey to becoming a lawyer, announced she was joining Master P and others to have C-Murder's sentence vacated. 3 years later, on August 3, 2023, Kim reaffirmed her belief in C-Murder's innocence in a message she posted on Twitter. Big Lurch's music career was short-lived but intense, with flashes of promise that were quickly overshadowed by his infamous criminal case. Here's a breakdown of his musical journey. Big Lurch gained attention as a member of the group Cosmic Slop Shop alongside fellow rappers Dunny Baby and Rick Rock. The group released 1 album, The Family in 1998. Tracks like Sinful and I Gotta Have That showcased their West Coast sound with a gritty edge. They blended funk-inspired beats with street-oriented lyricism. Despite some underground buzz, Cosmic Slop Shop broke up soon after due to label issues and creative differences. After the group disbanded, Big Lurch began working on a solo album and made various appearances. Featured on songs with Bay Area and Sacramento rappers. He was working on his debut solo album around 2001 to 2002, but it was never officially released while he was free. On April 10, 2002, Big Lurch murdered his 21-year-old roommate. Tanisha E. says in the apartment he shared with her and her boyfriend in Los Angeles, California. The victim was found in her apartment at night by a friend. Her chest had been torn open and a 3-inch blade was found broken off in her scapula. Teeth marks were found on her face and on her lungs, which had been torn from her chest. The friend testified that Lurch was naked and covered in blood, standing on the street and staring at the sky. A medical examination performed shortly after his capture found human flesh in his stomach that was not his own. The victim's boyfriend said he and the aspiring rapper used PCP the day before the murder took place. On November 7, 2003, Lurch was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He had been convicted of murder and aggravated mayhem the previous June after pleading not guilty by reason of insanity at the time of the murder. The defense argued that Lurch was in a psychotic state due to his use of PCP the night before the murder. The court ruled that his intoxication and claimed insanity were not satisfactory reasons for committing the crime. The district attorney argued that drug use cannot be used as ground for an insanity plea in California, and the judge agreed. In 2003, Issei's mother filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Lurch, his bodyguard, Stress Free Records, Death Row Records, and Issei's boyfriend. The suit charged that the labels had provided Lurch with drugs to encourage him to act out in an extreme violent manner so as to make him more marketable as a gangsta rap artist. Part of what makes a gangsta rap artist marketable is the fact that the artist is a participant in violent activities, the lawsuit claimed. Death Row protested it had no connection to Lurch and was dropped from the lawsuit. Cashout, real name John Michael Hakeem Gibson, started out as a rising star in Atlanta's hip-hop scene before his legal troubles overtook his music career. Between 2011 to 2012, he gained attention with his hit single Cashin' Out, which became a platinum certified track and earned him a strong presence in the Atlanta rap scene. He signed with Epic Records and later did independent releases, working with major producers and artists. Although his mainstream popularity slowed down, he continued to release mixtapes and singles, building a loyal underground fan base. Between 2018 and 2022, authorities began investigating Cashout for alleged sex trafficking and racketeering activities. Prosecutors alleged that he used his fame and influence to recruit and control victims. In 2022, he was arrested in Fulton County, Georgia, facing RICO charges, sex trafficking, rape, and aggravated sodomy. Following trial on July 18 to 19, 2025 on multiple charges including rape, aggravated sodomy, sex trafficking, racketeering, RICO, firearm possession, and related offenses. A lengthy trial in 2025 lasted about 7 weeks. Survivors testified to systemic abuse and digital evidence, including messages from 8 seized phones, was presented to show a coordinated sex trafficking operation that had reportedly operated for around 7 years. On July 21, 2025, a jury found Cashout guilty on charges including rape, aggravated sodomy, and RICO violations. The trial court issued 2 life sentences plus 70 additional years, some concurrent and some consecutive. He was also ordered to register as a sex offender and avoid contact with victims and locations associated with the crimes. His mother, Linda Smith, aka Mama Cash, received 30 years, racketeering and sex trafficking, and his cousin, Tyrone Taylor, also received life plus decades, rape, trafficking, assault. Ksoo, real name Hakeem Robinson, is a rapper from Jacksonville, Florida, who gained notoriety not just for his music, but also for his alleged involvement in gang activity and several violent crimes. He was associated with Jacksonville's ATK crew, which has been linked to an ongoing street feud with rival groups like KTEA. Ksoo first started making noise in the Florida drill scene with aggressive tracks and music videos that often referenced real-life rivalries. However, his career took a major turn when he was arrested in connection to multiple murders, including the 2019 killing of Adrian Gaynor, aka Bibby, and the 2020 killing of Charles McCormick, aka Lil Buck. In a twist that made headlines, Ksoo's own father agreed to testify against him in court, which became a widely discussed moment in hip-hop news and true crime circles. He's currently in prison awaiting sentencing after being found guilty of first-degree murder in at least one of the cases. Jamel Maurice Demons, known professionally by his stage name YNW Melly, is a rapper and singer. He rose to fame in 2018 following the release of his single Murder on My Mind, a trap song that explores homicidal ideation. As his mainstream breakthrough, its release garnered him further attention after he was charged with the double murder of 2 fellow rappers in the YNW collective the following year, resulting in an ongoing legal battle and incarceration. Prior, Murder on My Mind peaked at number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 and led him to sign with 300 Entertainment. The label released his debut commercial mixtape, I Am You, in 2018, which was met with positive critical reception along with its follow-up, We All Shine, released in 2019. YNW Melly was accused of murdering his two friends, Anthony DeAndre Williams, YNW Sock Chaser, and Christopher Jermaine Thomas Jr., YNW Juvie, in October 2018. If convicted, he faces either life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The case gained massive public interest due to Melly's most popular single being Murder on My Mind. On July 22, 2023, judge declared a mistrial after the jury remained deadlocked on the charges, with a 9-3 vote in favor of convicting Melly on the lesser offenses of manslaughter. As of May 2024, the trial is currently on pause, awaiting the adjudication of a video from Melly's YouTube channel as evidence. Melly's attorneys requested to move forward with the discovery phase of the trial, but the judge has not yet ruled on this request due to the ongoing appeal. And there you have it. Some of the biggest names in hip-hop who've had their careers interrupted, reshaped, or even elevated by time behind bars. At the end of the day, prison has become a storyline that's deeply tied to the culture, but it also shows the resilience of these artists who continue to make an impact despite the setbacks. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to smash that like button, drop a comment with which rapper's story shocked you the most, and of course, subscribe for more deep dives into hip-hop news and history. Until next time, stay tuned, stay real, and keep the culture alive.